Hey everybody, John Houlihan here. Welcome to the channel. Hope you're having a great day. This is the fifth video in the Great Guitar Tone series, and the song we're going to look at today is called Cold Shot by Stevie Ray Vaughan. Basically, the idea of this series of videos is to take well-known songs with legendary guitar tone and see if we can reproduce that tone without breaking the bank and having to buy thousands of dollars worth of unobtainium guitar gear. So this is not a guitar lesson video, although I will attempt to play the song as accurately as I can. Now, disclaimer here, Stevie Ray Vaughan is a way better guitar player than I am. So just so you know, it's not going to be exactly like how he plays it. So it's just going to be a reasonable facsimile. And as I said, the goal here is to help you guys match, amazing guitar tone using gear that many of you already have. Alright, the song Cold Shot appeared on the 1984 album Couldn't Stand the Weather, which was recorded at the Power Station recording studio in New York City. The album was really a commercial success and sold over 1 million copies in 5 weeks. The song begins with some really classic SRV tones, which we're going to attempt to match in this video. Alright, so as far as original equipment, as far as the research I did, Stevie Ray Vaughan's guitar was a 1962 or 1963 Fender Stratocaster. It probably had Texas special pickups in it and modifications including a left-hand tremolo, which is mounted on a right-hand guitar. He owned, several Fender amps, Fender Vibroverbs, Super Reverbs, all kinds of stuff. He had a lot of guitar amps, this guy. However, one thing he's famous for is he took a great interest in Dumble guitar amps, which were designed by the famous amp designer Howard Dumble. And he did purchase a Dumble steel string Singer 150 watts. Now these Dumble amps, they're going on the internet for like $75,000. So we're not going to buy one of those because I don't have that kind of money. Alright, so he was also famous for using Ibanez tube screamers. Now there's been a variety of tube screamers available, but I believe the one that he used most of the time was an Ibanez TS9 tube screamer, which I have. But I believe he also used the TS808 version and the TS10 version too. So as far as the equipment that I'm going to use in this video, I happen to have a 1962 reissue Fender Stratocaster with stock pickups. This is not a real 1962, it's a reissue, but probably quite similar to his guitar. I have a Fender Blues Junior rated at 15 watts, probably quite a bit less power than the amp he used recording this song. I don't know if he used the Dumble amp or he used some sort of Fender amp. And my amp has a reissue Jensen P12Q speaker. The effects we're going to use are a Boss CS2 compressor. This is my always-on effect that I use all the time. We're going to use an Ibanez TS9 tube screamer, and as I said earlier, I believe the TS9 is the version of the tube screamer that he used most of the time. And we're also going to use a Boss CE3 chorus effect. Microphone, we're just going to use a Shure SM57 dynamic mic. Hey everybody, okay, so let's just have a quick look at the guitar we're going to use for this Cold Shot song by Stevie Ray Vaughan. My research indicated that Stevie Ray Vaughan obviously used a Stratocaster, and it was like a 62-63 vintage. This happens to be a 62 reissue, so that's pretty close. It's not an actual 62, but hardware is all the same, and it's obviously very similar. Now, one other difference is that he had the bridge from a left-handed Strat mounted on his guitar, so the tremolo arm would be mounted up here. So I guess that was just a matter of personal preference. Not really sure why he did that. Also, it's quite possible that he had different pickups installed in this guitar. We just have the stock pickups. But the key thing to remember for this song, Cold Shot, is the pickup selector. Now I call this the number 1 position, where it's just the bridge pickup. The key thing is you want this in the number 2 position, which is the bridge pickup and the middle pickup out of phase. That's what I believe he used for this song, because you get a very distinctive tone. So that's how we're gonna set things up as far as the guitar goes. All right, so let's go ahead and have a look at the effects we're gonna use. We're gonna use the Boss CS2 compressor. That's my always on effect. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you know I always use that to smooth out the dynamics of the guitar. Level at 12 o'clock, sustain at 12 o'clock, attack about 3 o'clock position. Then the overdrive that Stevie Ray Vaughan is most famous for using is the Ibanez Tube Screamer. This version's the TS9, which I think is one of the ones that he usually played with. Now the drive is only at about that's the knob on the left, is only at about the 8 o'clock position. So we're not using a lot of overdrive here. It's mainly just to give us a little bit of overdrive and some tone shaping. The tone is at about the 9 o'clock position, so we've rolled off some of the top end, and the level's at the 12 o'clock position. So these overdrive pedals, like Ibanez Tube Screamer, the Boss Super Overdrive, they give you overdrive, but they also do some tone shaping. They tend to emphasize the mid-range and roll off the low end. So that's the Tube Screamer. Now we're using the Boss CE3 chorus pedal, and you can see the rate is at about the 3 o'clock position. Now I did a Bryan Adams video where I looked at the song Run to You, and in that one we had the rate at about the 12 o'clock position. This time the rate is quite a bit higher at the 3 o'clock position, and it gives you this sort of pitch oscillation effect, which is what he gets on this recording. The depth is at about the 12 o'clock position, which is the same as the Run to You setting. And we also have a noise suppressor here, but that's not doing any tone modification. It's just purely for a noise gate. All right, let's have a look at the settings on our Fender Blues Junior. The volume setting is at about 7, which is kind of the edge of breakup for the preamp tubes. Fat switch is in the up position, that's off. We've rolled off the treble to about the number 3 position. Bass is also rolled off to 3. The mids are at 5 because we're emphasizing the mids, not so much the treble and bass. And the master is at 3, so we're going to be recording this at not too high a volume. I imagine when Stevie Ray recorded this back in the day, he probably had his amp cranked, but it's just more practical to do it at a lower volume. And the reverb is on 2, which is just, you know, a small amount of reverb. I find with the Fender reverb that's in the amp, if you crank it up too high, it doesn't really sound that great. So I never really go above 3 or 4 on the reverb. Okay, so here comes the hard part where we actually try to play cold shut as close as we can to Stevie Ray Vaughan. So I'm just going to try to do a reasonable facsimile, but we'll try to get the tone close so you guys can see if you can match it. One interesting thing, you're going to see that I'm going to be playing it in the key of A flat on the 4th fret here. Now you're thinking, hey, guitar players, we don't like A flat. I agree. But that's what's on the recording, and I suspect what might have happened is, I believe that Stevie Ray Vaughan used to detune his guitar 1 semitone to E flat. So if he detuned his guitar to E flat, then when he was on the 5th fret, that would actually be A flat. So my guitar is just standard tuning, so it's going to be A flat. So here we go. Okay, so that's the basic riff that he's playing. Then after that he starts getting into some lead stuff that sounds kind of like this. Stuff like that, and then he goes on to do a lot of other lead stuff that, quite frankly, I can't do. That's why he was Stevie Ray Vaughan and I'm me. Okay, so hopefully we match the tone there, and you guys can give it a try at home. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed Great Guitar Tone episode number 5, in which we looked at Cold Shot by Stevie Ray Vaughan. Great song, and some really legendary guitar tone there. I hope we got pretty close. I know that my playing is nowhere near that of the legendary Stevie Ray, but I hope we got pretty close to the tone without ever having to buy a $75,000 Dumble amp. Of course, if you have one of those, you're going to get even closer. Also, Fender, I don't know if they do anymore, but they have a Signature Series Strat, an SRV Strat, that had the upside down tremolo, gold hardware, and Texas Special pickups. So I don't know if Fender's still selling that, but that's going to get you even closer to the tone as well. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please hit the subscribe button and let me know how close you think we got to the original tone. See you next time.